It is 1275, and the Southern Song dynasty is collapsing. Millions of citizens are facing an unstoppable Mongol invasion, and the public is screaming for the execution of a single man fleeing down the river in a small wooden boat. That man is Chancellor Jia Sidao. For 17 years, he wielded absolute control over the Chinese state. We are going to look at how a series of compounding, desperate lies told by this one politician managed to hollow out an entire dynasty. An invading army might deliver the final blow, but the actual dismantling of an empire usually happens quietly, years earlier. It happens through the mechanics of political self-preservation. To understand how this happened, we have to look back to 1259. Jia Sidao possessed no military merit of his own. His initial rise to power was entirely the result of immense nepotism. His sister, Lady Jia, happened to be Emperor Lizong's favorite royal consort. Despite his lack of experience, Jia was handed control of the military during a massive existential crisis. Kublai Khan's Mongol army was aggressively pushing southwards, directly threatening the central Chinese prefecture of Izhou. Jia was ordered to liberate the region and save the empire. This map of 13th century China illustrates the reality of his campaign. Endowed with extraordinary power, Jia secretly agreed to humiliating peace terms. He accepted surrendering the Yangtze River as the new permanent border and committed the Song state to a massive annual tribute of 200,000 bolts of silk. But Jia caught a massive break. Back in the Mongol Empire, the great Khan Möngke died. Kublai Khan had to leave for a federal assembly to secure his leadership, triggering a sudden retreat of the Mongol forces away from the border. Jia seized the opportunity. He buried the secret treaty, completely concealed the humiliating peace terms, and falsely reported a massive, decisive military victory to the emperor. The lie worked perfectly. He was promoted to Right Chancellor, making him the top executive official in the government. Surviving a severe military threat through outright deception leaves a state permanently vulnerable. The security of the Southern Song dynasty was now anchored to a fabricated victory, and Jia had to continuously protect that lie to maintain his newly consolidated power. The immediate problem Jia faced was immense fiscal drain. Continuous border friction had caused a severe financial crisis, and Jia desperately needed to fund the state to maintain his political grip. This diagram illustrates his 1263 solution, the public land law, or Gongtianfa. It forcibly divided private estates. The government purchased 1/3 of excess land holdings. By forcing down prices, the state seized over 3.5 million mu, converting private wealth into state-owned land rented to tenant farmers. The funding mechanism used to buy this land devastated the civilian economy. Jia printed massive amounts of fiat paper money known as huizi and aggressively sold dutier, which were tax exemption certificates for clerics. When a government relies on aggressive confiscation and currency manipulation to rapidly prop up its treasury, it cannibalizes the civilian wealth required to sustain the nation long-term. In 1264, the new Emperor Duzong ascended the throne. Completely insulated from the economic damage, the emperor blindly praised Jia as a leader minister, granting him absolute authority over military and state affairs. While the empire struggled, Jia detached himself entirely from reality. He built lavish pavilions and sprawling gardens on Gur Ridge near West Lake, designing an environment of extreme, undisturbed luxury. He spent his days indulging his desires in his custom-built multi-treasure pavilion. Crucial state decisions, both large and small, were completely delegated to low-level office clerks and lackeys like Liao Yingzheng. This physical isolation soon became a strict information firewall. When Mongol forces returned and besieged the border city of Shangfan, Jia actively suppressed the news. Any official who attempted to accurately report the border situation was immediately demoted and punished. Absolute power, devoid of accountability, creates a dangerous echo chamber. By silencing the truth to protect his status, the most powerful man in the government engineered his own complete ignorance. The timeline of collapse was swift. In 1273, the censored siege ended, and Shangfan fell to the Mongols. The following year, Emperor Duzong passed away, leaving the throne to Emperor Gong, a child of a mere 4 years old. The loss of central territory could no longer be hidden. Facing massive, undeniable public outrage, Jia was finally forced out of his luxury compound. In 1275, he physically mobilized 130,000 elite provincial troops to march against the advancing Mongols. The two forces met at Dingjazhuo. The Song army, hollowed out by years of economic mismanagement and led by a politician who believed his own localized propaganda, suffered a sudden, crushing defeat. A political bubble can be heavily censored, violently protected, and beautifully decorated, but a heavily armed invading reality will eventually pierce it. Following the destruction of his army, Jia Sidao fled in a small boat to Yangzhou. Court officials successfully petitioned for his demotion, exiling him to a remote prefecture. Months later, he was assassinated in a monastery by a military officer. 4 years later, the dynasty itself was gone. The Southern Song did fall to Mongol military supremacy, but the internal collapse began in 1259. The state sealed its own fate. The exact moment its leadership decided the comfort of a lie was more important than the difficult reality of survival.